Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to lesson 11. We're starting the second ashra of the course. And today's lesson we're going to focus on two words in Arabic, kullu and ba'du. These are both very important and very common words that are used when I'm trying to describe how much of something there is. So kullu means all or each or every. Ba'du means some. Okay, and so this lesson we're going to focus on the grammatical rules for both of these words. And the first grammatical rule that you need to know is that both words are treated like prepositions. So the word following them is going to be in the majroor case. It's going to be in the majroor case. Alright, so now we'll take a look at the rules individually. So we'll start with kullu. So the word kullu is oftentimes followed by a definite noun. And when it is followed by a definite noun, it usually means all of the or all the. Okay, and the noun that's following it is usually plural, but it doesn't have to be. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. Kullu thamarati. So thamarat is the plural of fruit, it means fruits. So kullu thamarati, all the fruits. Kullu ta'ami, ta'am means food, it doesn't really have a plural, and so just kullu ta'ami, all the food. Usually don't say foods, just all the food. Alright, and you'll notice that both of the words following kullu are in the majroor case. Thamarat is feminine plural, and so you see the ati. At-ta'ami is just singular, but you still see the kasra at the end of the word, meaning it's in the majroor case. Alright, so this is kullu with a definite word. What about if kullu is followed by an indefinite word? In that case, it usually means each or every. So kullu nafsin, each soul, kullu nafsin. Here's another example, kullu unasin, each and every people, And we see that kullu is oftentimes and usually followed by a singular word if it's indefinite, but not always. Sometimes it can be a plural word as well. Alright. So that's kullu. That's easy enough. Alright, let's move on to ba'du. Ba'du is almost always followed by a definite noun. And it means some of. So ba'du nabiyyin. Nabiyyin, of course, is the plural of nabi. Ba'du nabiyyin, some of the prophets. And again, we notice that nabiyyin is in the majroor case. It's not nabiyyun, it's nabiyyin. Here, ba'dul kitabi, some of the book. So I read some of the book, for example. Ba'dul kitabi. Alright? Ba'du can very rarely be followed by an indefinite noun. I think the only example in the Quran is ba'du yawmin, in which case it means part of. So ba'du yawmin, part of a day. You'll notice this indefinite. Okay? And then ba'du also has a very special usage, and that is when you're trying to say one another. In which case you repeat ba'd. Here, ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. They are friends of one another. Literally, if I was to translate this, I might say, some of them are friends of some. But the actual, the idiomatic translation is, they are friends of one another. And this is a pretty common construction you'll see in the Quran. And this example also shows you that ba'd and kull can both be used with pronoun suffixes as well. So ba'dahum, some of them. Ba'dahum, some of them. If I put a different suffix, I'll get a different meaning. So ba'dakum, some of you. And so on. Alright, and finally we'll mention a couple of rules that apply to both ba'd and kull. The first one is that case ending rules apply to both of these words. In other words, you can change the last vowel depending on what this word should be in. So for example, let's take a look at this first example here. Allahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. We notice that kullu changed to kulli. Why did it change to kulli? Because it itself is following a preposition ala. So Allah is on or over everything powerful. So Allah has power over everything. Because this is following the preposition ala, it becomes kulli. Okay? And then finally we'll mention that if you're talking about a a verb or predicate that appears later in the sentence, it can either agree with the case ending on kullu, or it can agree with the case ending on nafs, or the whatever subject there is of that sentence. And so both of these are acceptable in Arabic grammar. And so you'll see both in the Quran, inshallah. Alright, and then the final grammatical rule I'll mention, this is just a reminder, we started with this. Both of these words are prepositions, so the next word is in the majroor case. So ala kulli shay'in, shay'in we see is in the majroor case. Kullu nafsin, it's also in the majroor case. Alright, we'll end with just a few exercises. The first one, tarakna ba'dahum. Tarakna ba'dahum. We left some of them. Taraka means to leave. We left some of them. Ba'dahum. Okay? This is an example of ba'd being used with a pronoun suffix. Alright, the next one. Allahu ala kulli shay'in qadir. We saw this example before. Allah is over everything powerful. Allah is powerful over everything. So I'll just mention a couple of things. Notice the case endings on each of these words. Allah is the subject, so it is marfu'. Ala is just a preposition. It does not change its case ending. Kulli is a kasra because it follows ala. Shay'in is again double kasra because it follows kulli. And qadirun is double dhamma because it is describing Allah. And so you can see what it's describing based on what it matches. So it's going all the way back and describing the word Allah. جعلنا بعضكم لبعض فتنة. جعلنا بعضكم لبعض فتنة. So when you see ba'd being repeated twice, it usually means of one another or some more than other. In this case, we created them as fitna for one another. We created them as tests for each other. Alright, hope that makes sense, inshallah. You can practice this with a few more exercises that I'll leave up on the screen. Jazakallahu khair. Assalamu alaikum. Please do remember to share this with somebody else who can benefit, inshallah.